Hello and welcome to Talking Live out of Star Shop Studio. I'm Dr. Robi Ludwig. We are here in Times Square just in time for Fashion Week. It starts in New York and we have the perfect guest for you today, Stacy London. I know many of you are just huge fans of hers, and appropriately so. Stacy is so many things. She's a stylist, she's a writer, she's an intellect, she's a host, and now you're a fashion designer as well?
I would say I'm more of a creative director slash brand ambassador, but yes, I am definitely helping to kind of mold the collection called Messini for Meyer, which is a store that's in the Midwest.
We have a picture. I think we put it last, but since we're talking about it first and it's appropriate for fashion, exactly. I saw an interview that you did, and you were interviewing bloggers and influencers talking about your fashion line. So how did this come about for you?
Well, it was kind of amazing. I mean, I ran into the people who buy for Meyer while I was visiting a manufacturer that made me a company, and we started talking about the fact that they were looking to sort of expand and maybe elevate the line that they own, which is called Messini, and it seemed to be a really good fit, and I was really interested in it because they are the first line and the first company to really think about how diversity and body diversity needs to be addressed. And so one of the first things that they decided to do was to add plus size to the racks where they have,
wonderful.
You know, what we would call normalized sizing. And to me, that kind of inclusivity is so important. I hate the idea that if you're a certain size, you're banished to the back of the store. You can't...
Or a different store altogether.
And you can't shop with your friends, that you have to like meet up somewhere for lunch after you've done your shopping. I love the idea of creating this kind of size, you know, inclusivity and expanding that range, because it creates a sense of community that we don't have in shopping a lot. So that was my first attraction to the brand.
I love that.
And they have been an incredibly interesting and wonderful company to work with. They are open-minded. You know, they see the opportunities for new shopping experiences in terms of what white space there is in the industry, where we can sort of help the consumer, whether it's casual wear, whether it's something a little bit more diversified that they can wear from work to evening, and you know, we're all doing this at an affordable price. I mean, everything.
What's the price point, and where can people get this clothing?
The price point is under $30 for almost every item.
Oh my God!
It's pretty amazing.
Sign me up.
I'm wearing the jeans. I'm actually wearing our flannel blouse with like the little tie. That's for fall. And Meyer is you know, in the Midwest, so you'll find it a lot in Michigan and Illinois. It's not national yet, but hopefully this is something that
can we get it online? If
you have to go to a Meyer store. Sorry, guys, you're gonna have to do that.
Well, okay, so if people are in the Midwest and they are watching this, they can certainly go to a Meyer store. Can people reach out to you directly and ask where they can get certain clothes?
Absolutely. I mean, you can always ask me questions like that on Twitter or on meyerstyle.com. You know, we'll be talking a lot about trends and what's coming up, you know, in any given season if you go to the site.
Do you think that social media helped companies to be more aware of the diversity out there? Because I know social media has created a new conversation in the fashion business, and Stacy and I knew each other way back.
Way back in the analog days.
I think, well, we don't have a picture from those days, but we have a
picture that was like kind of old.
Yeah, it's kind of old. It's from a friend's book launch. Oh my God,
look at me. I look like I'm exhausted. I have no makeup on.
I mean, I made that picture black and white for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
There was a good reason for that.
Both looking, it was a tough day.
But we met. You already had this successful show on TLC, What Not to Wear, which is how many people know you. I was doing 1 week to Save Your Marriage, and that was kind of before social media.
100%.
So if somebody wanted to reach out to us, it was via a blog or via email.
Or, you know, a PR person at TLC or something like that. And now, one of the best things about social media is that you can have this conversation with your followers and with particular people who have questions, whether they be fashion questions or how to find something. Sometimes on Twitter I get a little bit frustrated because, it's 140 characters. If somebody says to me, I'm 5'2" and I don't know what to wear, that's not, 140 characters does not give me
what do you write? I feel you.
Right, exactly.
I feel you.
I know. I mean, so with that little information, sometimes I ask people to either go to Facebook or wait until I do a Facebook Live like this.
And we'll make sure to have your Facebook information up there. I'm sure people know it anyway, but we will link it so people can connect if they have questions after the show.
Absolutely, which I would love.
Do you notice how there's a lot of shaming that goes on via social media?
Yeah, I mean, I feel very strongly that, the best of social media is a way for us to communicate and be kinder to one another, to create online communities, especially when we feel somehow alienated in real life from our own communities. The downside of social media are the trolls and cowards who hide behind it in order to be mean and angry and cruel because they don't feel good about themselves.
You are so honest in your communication on Instagram, on Facebook. I caught Stacy doing an early morning video interview. I don't know what you were talking about. You were just talking about your morning.
I don't know what I was talking about either.
And it was totally unfiltered, literally and figuratively. You didn't have any makeup. You were just taking questions. And I thought it was just so brave. And then somebody said something slightly negative, and you called them out on it.
Yeah.
You said, hey, I'm just here to connect with people. If you can't say anything nice, then go elsewhere. I think it is very brave of you to go out in this very honest way. Do you ever question whether you want to do that? Because people sometimes are unfiltered and can be negative.
Sure. I mean, I don't, brave is a word that I don't really associate with how I, sort of behave on social media. I believe very much that the people who follow me because they either want advice or they like something about my personality. I don't really think, for the most part, that people follow people just to be mean to them. Do you know what I mean?
No.
I don't really see that as the sort of primary purpose.
Unless there's a scandal.
Right.
And then that's something
Maybe.
different.
I've yet to kind of create any major scandals, but I...
You're not missing anything,
right,
I promise you.
Love my followers.
Yeah.
I love what they want to talk about. I love that, most of them are quite open-minded. Yes, there are going to be disagreements. I've had a lot of disagreements with people, not so much about fashion, but about politics mostly. And a lot
And you're
of people,
outspoken, and I think that's great.
Yeah, I would much rather be transparent with people. I don't feel like I'm in a position to constantly fight for my position. That's, I'm happy to have sort of discourse and, civil discourse about things. But, I say this on all of my social platforms: don't hate and don't follow. Like, if you just want to hate me, just don't follow me. Hate on your own page. But
Isn't it sad that we have to instruct people if that they're in this hating place?
Yeah, it's not. You're not welcome here. And I'm like, if you act like a troll, I'm going to block you like one.
And
that's my philosophy.
I have to say that when I put it out there that I was interviewing you, you have so many fans. People that find you sexy and inspirational, and oh my God, I love her. Please tell Stacy I love her. So you really connect with people in a very powerful, intimate way because you are so revealing. And I just have to say, in preparation, got Stacy's book. I'm late to the party, which is like the story of my life. I'm always late to the party.
I'm always
How
late
old
to
is
the party.
this book now?
I think it came out in 2012. That does not mean that I'm not going to write another one, but I have not had the motivation to do it.
Listen, it took me 10 years
Yeah,
from my
right?
first book, which was about marital homicide, to Your Best Ages Now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, sometimes it takes a little while. But I love this book. And as an author, I can look with a critical eye. Well, First of all, this is a Vassar grad, so let's get it straight. And you majored in philosophy?
Philosophy and German literature with a minor in psychology.
Okay, so why I love this book, it's not only about fashion, it is psychological. And you talk about why this book is different and what inspired you.
Yes.
And it's about being truthful about who you are, and what works. And then you say there are many different truths that maybe add up to one. But in this book, I was underlining and writing, and I actually can state some of the things that I felt were so powerful.
Oh, I'm so pleased.
Because you talk about style as really owning who you are, and fashion as access to possibilities.
Well, I talk about fashion a little bit more.
So get this book. I think it's fabulous.
Yeah, if you haven't read it, you're way behind. So get on it.
You're later to the party than me, which is hard, but
yes, but I will say that I basically talk about fashion as an industry. It is an industry that is built on insecurity. The idea is if you don't buy the next new thing, then you're not up to speed, you're not cool, or whatever it is. And I understand why it's a $3 billion industry. It's like it's very easy to make people feel like they're not good enough. We can turn that on its side and talk about style, instead of being an industry, really starts with the individual. So decide what you want to say to the world, and then make clothing work for you. Now, whether that's through your choices or the tailoring that you have done for a piece, whether that's about the price point that you want to stay within, there are lots of different things that sort of help us decide, the factors that help us decide what our style is. But rather than being dictated to by an industry, I would prefer women to think about what they want and either make sure the industry gives it to them or find it in a way that makes them feel comfortable with who they are. Clothes serve a purpose, right? They either really are meant to reflect the kind of confidence you have about yourself, or they're the armor that you can put on when you don't feel confident, right? So either way, it's fake it till you make it or reflect what you're feeling. But those are things that are very personal. So the thing that may make me feel confident may not be the same thing for you, but that's the whole point. Is that, as individuals, we all want our own personal style. We're not exactly like one another. And that's the problem with trends, is that it doesn't matter where you go. You can go to, Chanel, or you can go to H&M. You're going to see the same trends over and over. So you have to decide which ones are right for you and which ones aren't. And if you're chasing a trend, chances are it's not for you. It really has to feel organic. Otherwise, you're playing into exactly what the industry wants you to play into, which is you need to buy something new every 6 weeks.
Do you think the fashion industry has changed with there being influencers and bloggers out there?
Yeah.
Has it been a positive or negative impact?
I wouldn't call it positive or negative. I don't know that it necessarily has a value judgment. What I would say is that, as a sort of unscripted reality, sort of pioneer, I started in 2002, and that was sort of the heyday,
yes.
right? We gave birth to bloggers. And the reason that I say that, and I've talked about this in articles and definitely, hopefully in the new book that I'm working on, is that when we were that more of the early aughts, and it was 2002 to 2008, we really were a how-to kind of community, right? We looked to experts for information about what to do with our, interior design, what to do with our marriages.
It was inspirational and educational. Yes.
But more importantly, people look to us as experts in fields that they were not as familiar with. I think what's happened since bloggers is that we went from how to me too. And what I mean by that is, instead of looking to experts and expertise, millennials in general want experience, and they want to identify with a blogger rather than expect a blogger to tell them what to do. There is a very big difference in being instructive as opposed to being just inspirational. And what I think bloggers have done is that this is me, this is who I am. You can be interested in what I'm doing and say, oh, me too, right? It's sort of this tribe identification, as opposed to, I'm going to look for an expert in a field that I don't understand and allow them to tell me what to do.
So people do not want to be told what to do.
No, they want open-ended prescription. I don't think that people just... I don't think that they don't want to know anything. I think, people look for advice all the time. But instead of saying, your colors are blue, green, and purple, and you're a spring.
Right.
Nobody wants that kind of detailed instruction. They want open-ended possibility so that their own conviction and their own taste is not left out of the equation. And I think that's what we used to do more. We used to apply, I'm speaking about myself, and certainly what we were doing on What Not to Wear was to apply sort of basic geometry rules and take into somebody's age and body shape and that type of thing and create sort of a blueprint for them. But now I'm much more about this open-ended prescription in the sense that I don't want you to go careening off the rails, but I'm not going to pick the car for you. I'm not going to pick the color. I'm not going to pick the model. I'm going to let you do that. I'm going to help you kind of mold yourself into the person that you see yourself being, right? Even if you're not there yet, I just want to help you get there.
Your best possible self.
Absolutely.
Kind of being exposed to that. And you talk a lot about how has changed
100%.
Since What Not to Wear, specifically in an amazing article that you wrote for, it's called Refinery, right?
Right, I wrote it for Refinery 29.
Refinery 29, and I will have a link in my Facebook so that everyone can read it, because everyone should read it. It was so brilliantly written, and you're such a great writer because it's sophisticated and educational and real, and that's very, very hard to do.
I don't find it that hard. I think that the way that I relate to people, I mean, certainly the way that, when I met you, I related to you, and this is what I try to do consistently, not just with, other people I get to meet because of the TV world, but people that I meet in general. If you've been watching me on television, I would never want somebody to come up to me and feel dismissed. I would never want that if I got to meet some of my idols in the world, and not that I'm
anybody's sure it's idol, happened. Has it ever happened where you meet somebody and you were a fan
and they're
girl,
so
and they're kind of not nice or disturbed?
I would be devastated. So it's very often I'll be like, I don't want to meet that person. What if they're mean to me?
Yeah.
But knowing that, I try very hard to create this sense of communication so that you do feel like you know me. I try to be authentic, that when you do get to meet me, you're not disappointed. And the fact is, on What Not to Wear, that was only part of me. That was a persona to some degree, only in the sense that it's just not everything about me. Right. It's sort of the same way that you look on Instagram. That's not everything about a person. That's a highlight reel. But as much as I can talk and be honest about who I am in terms of transparency, and I hate to use the word authenticity because it's like the artisanal of like 2 years ago.
No, but you talk about your psoriasis as a child and how that influenced you, and you talk about your eating disorder that you struggled with, and you talk about your back and your back surgery. Yeah. And I have to say, like, when I read your Instagram, I'm like, I really have to up my game.
Oh my God!
Because I'm like, hey, happy day. Follow me. See you later. And yours is like this doctoral thesis that it really is.
Really untrue, and I feel like there are days.
Go check it out.
Yeah, there are days where that's not. I'm like, yay, happy day. And the really funny thing is, like, we're talking about sort of how your style matures, and I'm like, you're decked out like the fashionista today. You're wearing high heels. I'm still in flats.
Listen, I thought about this outfit for a week, because when you are sitting with somebody who is a stylist, you want to make sure that you're doing it right. I might be doing it wrong because I don't follow rules. Okay. I kind of make up my own rules.
Right, and there is no right or wrong, right? I would never argue with somebody on the basis of taste. That's not how you do it. Because
you have bad taste.
Right. You have bad taste. Yeah. But I love this. Me saying something's ugly and you saying something's pretty, there's no standard by which we can measure that.
Now, what about age? Because you talk about, and I wrote a book, Your Best Age Is Now, and you talk about getting older and what that means, and some of the pleasant surprises that you have noticed 100%. Since getting older.
I mean, pleasant surprises and also terrifying things. And the reason that I even started thinking about my age in the first place was because I started to notice there are certain things that I don't feel comfortable wearing now. And those kind of sheath dresses and mini skirts that I used to wear on What Not to Wear, like, that's not who I am anymore. I don't feel comfortable wearing those kinds of things. And, it's not just body changes. It's that age requires a little bit of gravitas, and I want to not only be proud of that, I want to show other women that they have the same opportunity.
One of the things that I noticed just living in New York and amongst the women that I treated was that they felt really good about themselves. There was a high self-esteem when it came to how they felt they looked because they figured out how to treat themselves, what looked nice on themselves. They had the self-esteem, they felt good. And I wonder if you feel that there's kind of a generational blending right now going on in the fashion world because we're a lot more casual.
I think that we are more casual. I mean, obviously you can see I'm wearing very casual clothes today, but I don't know that that's generational. I think that when it comes to the way that we see fashion now, it's just much more egalitarian, right? So age and weight and size and body shape, none of that really plays into whether or not you can have style. Everyone can have style. And it's regardless of all of those things that we can have our own style and we can have our own personal style. So what works for you may not work for me. What works for me may not work for you. But I still think that all of the things that we've kind of held fashion to be, this exclusive world that's only for skinny, rich, young people, makes no sense because not everybody in the world is skinny and rich and thin, and you can still love getting up in the morning and flinging open your closet and love what you have in there to wear.
Everybody has a right to be beautiful and feel
Beautiful.
I'm getting like messages from my producer, so it's time for Keeping It Real.
Okay. Oh,
which
Keeping
is
It Real.
what we do on this show where we ask
I try to do it anyway.
real questions. You're always real. Okay. What is the best and worst purchase you ever made?
Oh my God, there's so many. I don't even know where to count. Okay. Best purchase I can't say ever. I can say recently.
Okay, good.
Because also my memory is shot. So
yeah.
I would say the best purchase that I made recently is a white sequin coat with marabou feather trim that's got really high slits up the sides.
That was your best or worst?
No, best.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm going to wear it with jeans and a black turtleneck and high
Please
heels.
take a picture and send it to me.
Don't you worry. Also, another best is I'm really big into vintage right now, and I just got this incredible Hanamori early 80s kind of chiffon color block dress that hopefully I'm going to wear tonight. It's so gorgeous I didn't even know what to do with myself. Worst purchase is not that it was because it wasn't wonderful, but it was the Celine trapeze bag because I think I might have used it once.
Oh.
And that's the type of thing where I want to get, use value out of what I buy. So there's a whole cost per wear mentality for me, and spending that much money on a bag and using it once is not a good use of
I
my
hope
money.
you resold it.
I'm trying.
Yeah, okay.
It's on eBay.
All right, in case you want to get it. If you could only keep 5 possessions, what would they be?
I don't care.
Oh.
I actually am not attached to possessions at all.
Not a cell phone, not a hairbrush?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
I mean, there's nothing that I feel like you can't live without. I mean, obviously, I would say it's probably harder to live without, a digital device than it was in the past. But certainly when it comes to wardrobe, I try not to be sentimental because I think that gets in the way of evolving.
Yeah.
It gets in the way of your evolution if you're holding on to pieces that no longer work for you. And you're really the only person who can decide what does and what doesn't. But, my recommendation is always to kind of think about purging. It's not just what you're keeping, it's about what you're getting rid of. You don't want to be so overwhelmed by your closet that you wear 80% of your wardrobe 20% of the time and 20% of your wardrobe 80% of the time. You really want to feel like you're using what's in there, and what you're not using, get out.
I'm going through a purging phase right now. If it doesn't give me pleasure, I don't like it, it's out.
Yep,
out.
Good.
And I just want to thank Foxes because they gifted me this top from Grazia. Foxes, we love them for Fashion Week. So thank you, Foxes, for doing that.
It's a great top. I love that asymmetric peplum.
Yeah,
just if you wanted my opinion.
Okay. If you were invisible for a day, what would you do?
I would definitely go into a men's locker room and see if Trump was lying about the way men talk to each other. That's what I would do. Yeah.
See, I would go to a jewelry store, but okay. No, listen, we all have our preferences.
I just want to, I'm just trying to figure out the male psyche. That's where I'm
at. What is your strongest personal quality?
I'm going to go with sense of humor.
Yes.
Some other people may say transparency, but I would like to think that I still, even in the worst of times, have some sense of humor.
You have a lot of sense of humor and a lot of talent and a lot of strengths. What's next for you?
Well, I'm still working with Meyer. Hopefully we are going to, you're going to start to see more and more of the clothes that are coming out that I'm really proud of. And I'm also so proud of the price point because it makes it very easy and attainable for most people to get. And, I do want to work on this book. I keep saying that I'm going to finish it, but if you haven't read the article, I encourage you to.
And we're going to have a link again up on my Facebook page so everyone can read it because it's worth reading.
Thank you. But it's about, it's what I term about being an evolutionary woman, which in some ways I feel is almost like a new species, subspecies of female. That, we haven't seen a lot of before this, which is my mom was a frontline feminist. She got married, she had kids, she burned her bra, she got divorced, and she got the job of her dreams.
She was a venture capitalist, correct?
Yes, she was.
Just FYI.
Right.
Yes.
And I got to skip all that and go straight to the job that I wanted. But being an unmarried, child-free woman, my friend Christine Barberich at Refinery 29 said, don't say childless. Say child-free. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, I understand that difference. It's subtle, but it's different. To be in their 40s, not married, and child-free, there's a real stigma that goes along with that. And I am sort of the first generation of woman that is facing that particular stigma. It's not that I got married and divorced. It's that I never got married. It's not that I had kids or adopted kids and gave them up or anything. Yeah. I've never had them. And what does that mean for me? What does that mean as a woman? What is my legacy? If we're going to live to be longer, if we're going to live to be older, what are we going to do with that middle age where, we're not going to have kids, maybe we'll adopt, or what does that legacy look like? And what is the kind of function of women like me in society today? And I hope that it would be to kind of create a space for us that hasn't necessarily been there before.
Relevant, regardless of age and regardless of what you choose to do in terms of your personal life or professional life. Absolutely. We should all be relevant and make space for that. Well, I want to thank you for joining me. I love you. I support you. And it's thrilling to have you during Fashion Week or any week.
My pleasure.
And thank you for joining us. We're back during our regular schedule, which is on Monday at 6, and we will see you then.